city of Philly, where the birds take flight. Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the broad street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry. Fly like an eagle soars in the sky. Tone and Markus always standing by. Bringing their heat, call it do or die. Philly squad, hear the battle cry.
What up, Tone?
What's good? What's good, baby boy? How you feeling this morning?
Uh-oh. Hold on. Now I can't hear you.
Oh, man. Well, regardless, make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys stay locked in. You guys are tuned in to
I can't.
the Eagles pregame show.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, big dog. How about you?
Why is it that I can't hear all of a sudden?
Everybody can hear me but you, man. It's all good.
Keep talking, Tone, because I can't hear a thing.
I got you, big dog. I got you. So listen, man, you guys are tuned into your Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk. I'm your guy, Tone Deshields II from the Chalk It Up Network. Again, man, this is your Eagles pregame show. Today is the day. Today's the day.
Today's the day.
This is not the time for all the pussyfooting. This is not the time for being nervous, or this is not the time to start questioning your team. This is the time to believe that you were here for a reason. You were put in this exact position for a reason. This Eagles team is built. They're ready to go. They're locked and loaded. And Markus, I'm just ready to go to war, man.
I'm ready to get started. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear, big dog.
Everything good? No reverb, nothing like that?
Loud and clear. You're all good to me.
All right, let me take these off then. So I'm ready to go, man.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been I've been watching a ton of film, and to me, what it all comes down to is when you get through with all of the until somebody beats them, until everybody's given a million different reasons, right? But what it comes down to, when you strip it down, you got to look at what you've seen on film. You got to look at the matchups, see how you measure up, and you go from there. And from that standpoint, I like our advantage. I see some chinks in the armor that KC has to deal with, but we got issues too. I mean, our team is not perfect, but when you want to line it up and look at matchup to matchup, I think we are in a much better situation than we were last time we were here.
Right.
The turf is not going to be an issue this time. I can see our defense getting home, and we've got some holes that we can exploit on our defensive line because, like we've said all year, bro, it all comes down to who wins in the trenches. And I think today we gonna win that battle because we got the better team in the trenches, and that's where it's gonna equalize out. I know Patrick Mahomes is gonna do some things, but just like last week, just like against LA, everybody wants to talk about Matthew Stafford. Everybody wanted to talk about the young gun, Jaden Daniels, and everybody talks like the Eagles have just been sitting still.
They even gave us that treatment with Green Bay with Jordan Love.
Exactly. Like we didn't get any better. And it's like, and that's the fatal mistake. And everybody bitch, moan, and complain and gave you every reason in the world why Jalen Hurts can't win playing the way he does. And then what does he do? Plays the way he does and puts up 240. And lights and still uses his leg. Oh, I thought he was hurt. Psych. So at the end of the day, when we get on that field, we're gonna do the same things we've been doing. Do I think Spags is gonna throw the kitchen sink at us? Absolutely. But you know what? Everybody's been doing that all year. Everybody got some plan or something new that they're gonna do to stop us. It's only certain things that you can do. It's only so many things that you can throw in. So many defenses and blitz that you can disguise. And like we talked earlier, man, every time somebody sends a blitz, you gambling. Yes, you're gonna win some, but you're gonna lose some too. So if you want to send the blitz, if you want to bring Chenal up and let him be run support, or if you want to bring that extra safety up, you playing like it's cover 3 or cover 2, then you bring that extra safety up. Now you got a single high down the middle. That means, and Kansas City loves to do this, they love to leave man-to-man on the edges. So if you want to leave man-to-man with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, you go ahead and do that. I'll take that battle. So I'm like, bring it. We done passed every test. We done seen everything that they could throw at us. And let's not forget that Patrick Mahomes is great, but he hasn't been playing that great this year and in this postseason.
Right.
So, it is what it is. Take it for what it's worth. We got a better defense. We got a better offensive line. We got better secondary. So we're going to put it on the field and we're going to see what's what.
It's interesting you brought up the fact that Pat Mahomes hasn't been playing up to his standard this year, right? And one of the things that jumps out to me is the fact that the Chiefs' explosive offense hasn't really been there this year. And I guess we could start on that side of the ball for them, and we can talk Eagles defense, Chiefs offense, right? Patrick Mahomes hasn't really played up to his standard this year. Granted, he hasn't really had the same supporting cast that he's used to having, right? He's used to having guys like McCole Hardman, guys reliable like that, MVS, guys that's reliable like that. He's had to really put his faith in some new blood. Let's be honest. Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, right? He's had to really. I know they brought Juju Smith-Schuster back, but they basically had to rely on a lot of new blood. Travis Kelce's obviously there, but at that receiver position, they haven't really been getting the explosive plays that they're used to getting. They really rely heavily on short game. They like to get Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown in those quick slant or bubble screen, those orbit screens, those jet sweeps. They like to get the ball in their hands quickly and see if they can make something happen in space. And for the most part, the Chiefs have just been dinking and dunking their way throughout the entire season. Now, granted, when you think about it from the Eagles' perspective, that's what they prepare for, right? They will prefer you to dink and dunk it, and they expect you to make a mistake.
Right.
The thing with Patrick Mahomes is you can't expect him to just make mistakes. You have to force the issue. You have to force the mistake. You have to put him in compromising situations, and that's where the pressure comes in. So I guess for me, I'm curious to see what will be Vic Fangio's course of action as it pertains to knocking Patrick Mahomes off his spot. Is it simply the pressure? Is it the coverage holding up the way they're supposed to? Because what doesn't get talked about enough in that Commanders game, as good as Jaden Daniels was playing, as good as his supporting cast was playing, right? I know a lot of people like to pretend that he didn't have any players after they lost that game against us.
Right.
But as good as Terry McLaurin, Dimey Brown, Zach Ertz, right? Austin Eckler, as good as all those guys were playing, you saw what it looked like when the Eagles, even when they weren't able to get pressure, when the coverage was good. There was a handful of snaps where you saw him holding onto that ball a little longer than he wanted to. Yeah. And he either threw some dirt worms or he overthrew a guy by a bit. Like just that slight bit of pressure, just that slight bit of knocking a guy off his spot, just making him just throwing off his timing just a bit can create a lot of issues for their offense. So I'm thinking the same thing could potentially happen for this Chiefs offense versus this Eagles defense, right? You may not sack Mahomes 5 times today.
Right.
You may not get hands on him, but can you knock him off his spot? Can you disrupt the timing ever so slightly between him and a guy like Travis Kelce? Can you disrupt the timing of those bubble screens between him and Xavier Worthy? Right? Yeah. Can you be more physical at the line of scrimmage and compromise one of those interior offensive linemen, be it more so Caliendo, right? Or their right tackle who's not really the greatest, right? And you move Joe Tooney from left guard to left tackle, he's compromised as well. So you compromise 2 positions to salvage one. Even the one you salvage isn't really playing up to snuff. Patrick Mahomes has been sacked the most he's ever been in his career. So I'm curious to see what Vic Fangio's course of action will be as it pertains to disrupting what the Chiefs like to do on offense, because they're not as explosive as they're used to being. And again, this Eagles defense, what separates this defense, the 2024 defense, from the 2022 defense is the personnel and the coaching, of course. But the personnel jumps up the screen. You don't have Avonte Maddox out there. You got Cooper DeJean in that slot. Way more instinctual, way more technically sound, way more physical at the line of scrimmage, way stronger in the run game, attacks angles very well. Sideline to sideline speed is bar none. Can play coverage as well. Can defend tight ends. Can defend slot receivers, right? Has the speed and athleticism and the strength to pretty much go with any and everybody. Then you replace James Bradbury with Quinyon Mitchell, someone who doesn't get enough respect for their speed. Quinyon Mitchell is a very fast corner. He's just a bigger body, and it doesn't look the same. He has long arms, and he doesn't get beat, but he doesn't get beat. Let's be honest. Every corner, it happens, right? But he doesn't get beat. That's not on his jacket, really. So you think about a young guy, you think about those two guys who are young, but at this point in the season, Vic Fangio said it. He said, these guys aren't rookies. They done been through. They done seen. They didn't play the best of the best. They dealt with Lamar Jackson. They dealt with Jaden Daniels 3 times. They dealt with Jordan Love twice. They dealt with Matthew Stafford twice. They dealt with Joe Burrow. You know what I mean? They played their fair share of really, really good quarterbacks in this league. Great quarterbacks, actually. Two of those quarterbacks are the ones they consider the 4 horsemen, right?
Yeah.
Burrow,
if you're a rookie and you have started 6 or 7 games in the NFL, you're not a rookie. Because by week 6 or 7, or by your first bye week, in some situations, you've seen everything.
Right.
So you got a good gist of what you can and can't do. The coaches have a good understanding of your limits and your capabilities. And most of the time, not all, but most of the times, they will use you to their advantage. So with Quinyon and Cooper specifically, they have each of them has had a bad day, sort of.
Right. Cooper DeJeans came against Adam Thielen in that Carolina game. And I want to say Quinyon's came against Washington when Terry McLaurin beat him deep that singular time. In the big scheme of
things, their bad day was as good, if not better, than a lot of veterans in the league.
That's a good point.
That played a lot worse. So you got to look at it like this. How did they play? And again, try to look at situations, try to look at stats, not one-sided. It can't be one-sided. You got to have context. You got to see how the game was going on. There's a lot of, like, everybody, like the whole situation with Joe with Washington and what he said about, Jalen being a running quarterback and all of that type of stuff. And yes, they held Saquon to 26 yards on 20 carries or whatever it was in the second half of that game, where he had 100 and something yards in the first half. The context is the numbers don't tell you that Jalen Hurts got knocked out of the game, and it changed the complexity in how we were running the offense. That type of stuff matters. I got a great stat for you. I've been hearing this all week on every show. Good Morning Football, ESPN, Get Up, First Take. Everybody's saying the same thing, that Vic Fangio is 0-8 against Patrick Mahomes. He is 0-8. That is 100% true. Numbers don't lie, but they do deceive. You got to look at the context of what's going on. Look at those offenses that Vic Fangio had on his team, whether he was the head coach or the defensive coordinator. They averaged 11.8 points per game. 11.8 points per game. 6 points, 3 points, 16 points twice, 9 points, 24 points, 14 points, and 7 points.
I've been trying to tell people that 0-8 is misleading.
He had no
offense, no quarterback, no production.
Offenses that scored less than 12 points in that run on average. And then on top of that, those offenses gave up the ball 6 times. No, gave up 6 touchdowns to the defense. So you got to take it into context. Did he have a great running back? Did he have the best running back? Did he have the MVP? I got to take all of that stuff into consideration. Did he have the best young defensive player in the league? Nope. So you got to look at all of those factors, and you got to throw that stuff out because it don't matter today. Every situation is different. Every team is different. So Vic Fangio has never had this much talent in front of him. Never.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a rare combination of veterans, young veterans, and rookies. It's a very rare combination, and all of it's gelling, not just at the perfect time, but what stands out to me the most about this defense, what's going to be really interesting to see how Casey challenges this, is the level of communication. Remember in 2022, that Eagles defense, they got challenged a lot, especially with those crossing routes.
Yeah.
And they got challenged a lot with those double
The dig
motions
routes.
or those fake motions, right? Those dig routes, basically.
Yeah.
There was moments where, like, one stands out to me. Remember in the Rams game in the playoffs, I think it was Puka or Coop. He went in motion. He motioned from the left side, and then he cut back in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So he motioned left to right, and then he faked it and ran back to the left, and they thought they was going to catch them lacking.
Trying to run the same concept.
The same concept that the Chiefs ran against us in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
Exactly.
You saw the communication on the back end. CJGJ saw it coming. He held off his man. He said, "I got him." And
Right.
you saw CJGJ and I believe Reed Blankenship. No, CJGJ, and you saw Coop, I think, pick it up. And he was a non-factor, couldn't even get the ball over there. So
Right.
I think the Eagles are way more prepared for the misdirection. They're way more prepared for the crossing routes. Their level of communication has been top tier in this league. When you watch the film, you see the body language. They over-communicate, Marcus. That's what stands out to me.
That's where it has to be. Andy Reid is a master at, like I say, the Aikido moves. They use your momentum against you. So what they did, and they got us on that play twice. Back
to back, damn, in the
they
same
got
spot.
us early, and then they got us for basically the win. So what they do is, when you slide, when the defensive secondary and the linebackers are sliding over, they call it banjo, but all it means is you communicating. Now I'm gonna take your zone, you slide over to the next, you move the next man up, right? But to your point, sometimes when you're in the midst of that communication, sometimes people don't act immediately, or some people might get confused, and they're counting on that. So the moment that they push the coverage over and everybody starts to slide the other way, they 180 and come back the other way. Now you done created 5 yards of space where there used to be only 1. And you just keep your momentum going, and you got a lot of space between you and your nearest receiver wide open.
And that's where trust comes in. That's
Correct.
where trust, chemistry. These guys have played together all year long. For the most part, this defense is fully healthy. You are missing Oren Burks. You get BG back. But to your point, none of that stuff that the Eagles do doesn't work if they don't trust each other. If the chemistry isn't top tier, if the morale isn't top tier. The way these guys have been playing all year, like there hasn't, the one thing that stands out, another thing that stands out, excuse me, there hasn't really been any busted coverages for the Eagles.
No, but let me tell you what Kansas City is going to do or have done. This is my guess, but it makes sense. They're going to look at the tape of Washington, and they're going to look at the tape of Cincinnati, because in both those games, those tight ends ate our lunch. Zach Ertz and that tight end from Cincinnati ate our lunch. We won the games. Well, yeah, we won the games because even when we smashed Washington, Zach Ertz still had a hell of a game.
Is it fair to say, though, that was due to lack of priority rather than a lack of ability?
It doesn't matter.
Fair enough.
What they're going to do is look at the coverages, because Andy Reid works in the zones. He creates open spaces. Andy Reid is not throwing the ball deep. Mahomes is not. I think Mahomes has gone deep, and deep, I guess, means 30 yards or more in the air. I think he's only gone deep, I want to say, like 4 times this year. He's getting the ball out of his hands quick, getting the hands to his playmakers, and they are making plays. He's not going deep down the field. He doesn't have to. They are creating open zones in the middle of the field, and they're taking advantage of that.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is the guys that did do it, right? I can't remember the tight end's name in Cincinnati. Gesicki, right. And Zach Ertz. Again, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't matter. But if I know a team's number one target is their tight end, a la Travis Kelce, I guess the disconnect for me is, how can I not be better at defending that if I'm making that a priority rather than those other games? Those other 2 guys, you in your mind, you're paying more so attention to Jamar Chase, right?
Right.
And in the Commanders game, you're paying more so attention to Terry McLaurin, right? So I guess for me, although I hear what you're saying, the level of priority you put on something can influence how that something impacts the game, right?
Absolutely. But the prerequisites are there are still some rules that you have to follow, right? So it doesn't matter how prepared we are. If we go into a zone defense and they figure out how to attack that zone, you still got to play by the rules. The defense still has responsibilities. And what you do is the chess match is trying to find an advantage and let the defense do their responsibility. If your defense is to cover a zone and we send somebody through the zone and you go with them or you protect that zone, well, if you shuffle to the left or to the right a couple of yards because you've taken the guy that's in your zone, you create space somewhere else. So maybe they run a drag route, maybe they run a comeback, maybe they run a button hook or a quick out or something like that. All they're doing is attacking the zones. And how you do that is you let the defense do what they're supposed to do. That's where the recognition comes in. If they in cover two, if they in single high, all of these different things, every defense you're going to come across, there's a weak spot on that defense, right? So if they're in cover two and you got two linebackers in the middle, but one of them linebackers tries to blitz, there's a zone somewhere in the middle. That's why when you run hot routes, you're supposed to throw it to where they ain't. Because if somebody's coming, that means somebody is not where they're supposed to be because you have an extra man on the line of scrimmage and you got a weakness in the coverage. Flip that to the offense. Why do they blitz? If you want to take Saquon Barkley off the field, if he's in the backfield and you think it's a pass play, he's in the backfield, now you have that worry. But if you do a run blitz and he has blitz pickup, that means there's no chance of Saquon Barkley catching a screen pass or something like that. So it's a chess match back and forth. On the offense is trying to create zones in the defense. The defense is trying to outnumber the offensive line and take an extra man, that fullback or that running back, out of the field of play.
And
because
that's why
if he doesn't come in, if he can't blitz pickup, or if he does blitz pickup, that's the gamble. If he does blitz pickup, that means he's not on the pass pattern. Defense doesn't have to worry about him. If he doesn't, that means I got somebody free that can get to the quarterback. That's the gamble.
Now, here's the thing. Getting back to the Eagles defense, to your point, Vic Fangio doesn't gamble.
Correct.
He doesn't
gamble. Because we've been getting home with 4.
He gets home with 4. And even when he doesn't get home with 4, the Eagles team, the Eagles defense is the only defense in football that's still generating a negative EPA.
Correct.
They're the only defense in football that's still generating a negative EPA, being the most efficient defensively, even without getting pressure.
Right.
That is where this Eagles defense has upped the ante.
I agree.
When it comes to that 2022 defense, when they weren't getting pressure, they became one of the worst defenses in football. When they weren't getting pressure, one of the worst is a stretch, but
yeah,
you know what I mean.
The numbers dropped.
Yeah, like the disparity between their production, the disparity between their efficiency was so drastic in 2022 when they're not getting pressure versus 2024 when they're not getting pressure. The disparity is insane, but this Eagles defense has still managed to maintain gap discipline, still maintain the ability to follow the rules. Like you said, right? There's rules to this thing and principles, right? And technique.
Yeah.
And communication and knowing where somebody's supposed to be. Vic Fangio doesn't gamble. He doesn't blitz. And if he does, it's only as a curveball. It's only as a changeup. You know what I mean? He's just trying to give you a slightly different look, just give you a different pace. And his blitzes this season have been so well timed.
Yes.
So I think what's going to be really interesting to see is how patient, and again, I know Mahomes has been patient all year long. He's been patient all year long. How patient can Kansas City be when the Eagles get up a score or two, if that's the case? That's going to be really interesting to see, right? But again, to your original point about rules and trying to create that space.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate Andy Reid trying to get his young guns going early? Because we know Travis Kelce can do whatever Travis Kelce does. Do you think he'll try to get his young guns get his young guns going early, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, guys like that, so they can potentially open things up for a guy like Travis Kelce? Or do you anticipate them trying to get Travis Kelce going first?
I think Travis Kelce they're gonna try to get him going first. Just like flip it. Who do you think the ball is gonna go to first on the Eagles offense?
AJ Brown.
I think it's gonna be Saquon. But
Interesting. Oh, okay. I was thinking of the passing game. My bad.
but well, no, you're not wrong. It's either or. You got to be
Okay.
ready for both. So why wouldn't they go to Travis Kelce? He's the best offensive player on the team. Why wouldn't they go to Xavier Worthy? They've been running that jet motion sweep all year, and it's been hard to stop. So the first thing you're gonna do is do what you've been doing first. If they can't stop it, you keep it going. That's why you make adjustments. You have to make adjustments because what you normally do ain't working. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna fire off your big guns first. We're gonna get a ball to Saquon. We're gonna throw the quick slant to AJ. What would throw him off is if we run the play action, see AJ over there, and we hit Dallas Goedert on the other side. That would throw him off. Or we hit Calcaterra or something like that. Jahan Dotson gets the first pass deep. They wouldn't be expecting that because all the focus is going in a different direction. So it all depends on what they want to do. It all depends on what we see. You know, Eagles have been watching film for the past 2 weeks, right? So if you watching film and the first when I watched the Buffalo game, the first defensive play, it looked like cover 3. Then they dropped down and then they had single high. They brought both of them up. So it was cover 1. So, okay, are they going? So, which means, like I said earlier, AJ and Devontae on the edges are man coverage, press man coverage. Is Spags really going to take that challenge? I know Trent McDuffie is good. I don't know if he's that good to want to go one-on-one with AJ Brown. Consistently. Ask Lattimore about how that worked out for him. So, but it's the gamble. You're going to win some, but when you're dealing with somebody like AJ Brown, when you're dealing with somebody like Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and Saquon Barkley, yes, you might win one. But the minute you lose, the minute you lose, it's costing you 6 points.
Yeah, that's the thing. The damage that they can do
exactly
when you gamble, right? Yeah, sure, you may gamble on other receiving cores, other teams, right? But they may not be able to really gut you the way AJ Brown can, or Devontae Smith can, or Saquon, or even Dallas Goedert, right? I've been hearing a lot of people say, really, in this game, outside of Saquon and Barkley, Dallas Goedert is the one that really may be the X factor because of, you know, the 11 personnel looks the Eagles are going to be in, right? You know, the Chiefs defensively, they struggle to defend the run out of 11 personnel because they want to get in base. They want to get all 3 of those linebackers on field. But what happens is, but when you spread them out a little bit and you're in 11 and now you force them into a nickel set, now you're putting these DBs in a precarious position.
Exactly.
And you're creating so much space. A lot of these guys are now on an island. I trust AJ Brown and Smitty and Goddard to block because they're willing blockers. Part of blocking is just being willing.
Yeah.
Especially as a receiver. And AJ Brown, Smitty, and Goddard have shown that they're very willing to block. Even Saquon Barkley has been shown he's willing to block. And he blocked well in that Commanders game for Jalen Hurts. He blocked very well in pass pro and on the QB draw. So you have 4 guys who are all willing to block when need be. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how disciplined KC can be on defense, because what Saquon Barkley is so good at, he pushes you in a position where your technique becomes irrelevant.
But remember that was a critical point for me in that LA game. Because remember, our offensive line did not do a very good job in that game.
Correct.
And they watched the same film that I did. They saw Mekhi Becton miss that pull. They saw AJ Brown just totally whiff on that linebacker that ended up getting a tackle for loss on the goal line. So they saw that and they made adjustments. They let it be known as like, yo, you got to be better. And they were better against Washington. So things like that, you look at it, how do you get better from it? When you in that same situation again, you got to get that block or make that play.
First play of the game in Washington, AJ trapped the guy, got caught up in the wash, got caught up in all that drama, fell. But he created so much dysfunction by blocking his man. Mailata came up and fouled through. Mailata, even after the play, was like, "I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, man. I saw you, but I had to block it, man." But like he got caught up in the trash. But
absolutely,
AJ Brown, he sprung that damn near. If AJ Brown doesn't seal off that edge,
absolutely,
so Jordan Mailata can do his thing, that run doesn't happen.
All it takes is one step. And you talking about, instead of going through, you know, the fastest, you know, way to point A to point B is a straight line. But now you got to go around somebody. You got to go around the traffic and it slows everything up.
Mhm.
So absolutely that happens. And the way Saquon runs the ball, he gets everybody coming inside, and he bounces out one hole. And that's all he needs because he can accelerate. And Trent McDuffie is pretty good, but
I just think we're
Kansas
too
City does
big.
not strike me as their secondary is not the most physical secondary out there, right? Because you got some guys out there making business decisions. I saw the tape. You got a couple guys out there making business decisions. So Saquon is not the one you want to do that to. So, but real quick, Tone, while we at the halfway point at 30, we've been rocking for 30 minutes already, man.
Yeah,
Damn.
no, I looked up, man. I was like, damn.
We got like 4 super chats right now.
Say
And
less.
before we do anything, smash that like button. If you on Chalk It Up Sports, smash the like. If you on Pro Fan Talk, smash the like. As usual, our guy Carlos Rosado hits it in first. Tone, coach, let's go. Ready? Belts to asses.
I love it, Carlos.
I saw that thing you put when somebody was pulling the belt talk. I like that. Then he hits back again. He's like, Coach, we hear no more talking, no more BS analysis, no more flip-flopping, no more hate. It's time to put up or shut up, belt to ass. I'm with you, bro. With
Coach,
you, Carlos.
It's real quick, Marcus. The way these national guys flip-flop this week.
Yo, pancakes.
See that?
Pancake.
That was the craziest flip-flop I've ever seen.
But they did that on purpose.
Of course they did.
That was for clickbait. That was clickbait. That was
clickbait. That was for television. You know what I mean? Like that was that. See, a lot of people we got to be able to differentiate entertainment from okay, they're really trying to do some analysis here, which is very rare. But it was just funny to see like that if you need any example to show you that you can't take this guy seriously, that was the one.
That was it.
That was it. If you need any example as to not trust national media or to not put too much eggs in that basket when it comes to your football information or your football takes, let that be the perfect case study, the perfect example that you can use to solidify your decision.
And when the end of the game comes, they're gonna pull the appropriate tape that benefits them. What does that a lot. Colin Cowherd. Colin Cowherd does that a lot. He'll talk about one thing, and then he might mention, like, he'll talk about he'll say one compliment about Jalen Hurts, and then the other 55 minutes he'll spend on Patrick Mahomes. But if the Eagles win, he's gonna pull that one little segment that he said something positive on Jalen Hurts and run with that.
But to your point, even his compliments on Jalen Hurts are lackluster, right?
Yeah, they backhanded.
Like, if you watch his podcasts, like not the Herd, but one of his
channels, I like his podcast.
I actually like that. But every time Jalen has a good game, it seems like he's trying to say everything but Jalen had a good game.
It's a but.
It's not even just a but. Like it's clear he's trying not to say Jalen played well.
It's a backhanded compliment. Great. They're gonna find a way to compare it to the quarterback that throws for 350 or 400. It always comes back to that. So, and I'm like, you know what? It always came back to that all the way up to the Super Bowl. Now what's the excuse?
It's cute because, again, you can tell when you ever talking to somebody, you can tell they like dancing around something. You're like, hey, what you really trying to say right now?
Say it. Say it with your chest.
Yeah, just talk. But again, a lot of these guys on TV, you can tell it's almost like they're trying to remember their training. Don't compliment Jalen Hurts. Don't compliment Jalen Hurts. Don't compliment Jalen Hurts. They're trying to remember their conditioning, their programming.
Yeah, because like everybody that had Washington beating us.
They did, but they don't want to talk about that though. Now they're a young team. Now they ain't got no pieces. Now they got to do this. They got to do that. They knew all that beforehand.
Yeah, but you still picked Washington. So, but anyway, get out of here with that. But appreciate you, Carlos, man. That Greg 75 with the $19 super chat. Appreciate it, man. Let's get it. Playing James Brown, the big playback.
Ooh, I like that. I might play that today. I like that.
That's what
Greg,
I'm talking about.
I might play that today, Greg. I appreciate that.
With you on that one. Ian Blackwell Sr. with the $20 super chat, $19.99. Let's go. It's finally game day. Go Birds, get violent. Ooh, I like that. hit and hit hard. Let the ambulance sort them out.
I like that.
I'm tired of the disrespect. This team is built to win, and they will win 55-0.
Ooh, you talking crazy now, Ian? But
Oh my God!
I like that one part.
Words. I ain't mad at you. I ain't gonna be mad at you though, Ian.
Let the ambulance sort them out.
He said, "Let the ambulance sort them out."
I like that.
Ham Solo, what's up, fellas? Praying we win today. Amen. I'm with you, Ham Solo.
Appreciate you, Ham Solo. Thank you, bro.
Who's this? Hosea Jones, $5 super chat. Appreciate you, brother. We need to play Chiefs like we did last year. Bracket Kelsey, play man with everyone else because we have better talent than last year on defense. I ain't mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. We got to get home a couple times.
I do expect Vic Fangio to mix in some man, though. I expect him to.
I agree.
You can't play zone all day against Mahomes. You got to mix in some man.
I agree.
And you got the corners to do so. You got the talent to do so.
Thanks, Hosea. Dominique Mason with the $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Dominique.
Thank you, Dom.
I stopped watching national media. They have no integrity, and the disrespect for our quarterback, coach, and fans is trash. That's why I love y'all. LFG. Let's effing go.
Dom, you know,
Appreciate you, Dominique.
They sold their integrity. Them ESPN checks are nice. They sold their integrity. You know what I mean?
Yep. It's crazy.
That's why I respect guys who start their own platforms.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you know what? I think personally, because there's no reason why RG3 shouldn't be on TV. I think they got rid of RG3 because he's too practical. He's too honest. Like it's no every time I see RG3 on TV, gold.
Oh, they're bringing him back.
Are they? ESPN?
Well, he's been on TV a lot more.
I mean, I've seen him on FanDuel with Kay as a guest a lot. I've seen, you know, he does his podcast, which is really, really good. Did you see his post that he put up yesterday?
I did not.
Oh man. You can keep reading super chats. I'm
all right. Last one is Warve. Thank you again, Dominique. I appreciate you. Is it Warve or Warv? Warv. Yeah. If we can contain Chris Jones and Karlaftis, we should be good. Cam Jurgens and Becton is going to have to be on their A game. I agree. Cam Jurgens most of all because he's probably going to see the most work with Chris Jones. It all depends on how they play him. But we'll see. We'll see. Chris Jones is no joke. But again, we can't have a game like we had against LA, not with Chris Jones there. So we gotta handle our business. I don't think he's going to be outside on my lot of the whole game. There's no way. They're going to move him up and down the line of scrimmage. Sure. And I think we're going to do the same thing with Jalen Carter. So you think this would be the game where Fangio gets freaky with Carter? Pause. Like, you know, a little bit.
He'll get a little unique with it.
Because so again, they're going to start out with what they normally do, right? Which puts Jalen Carter, I believe, on Trey Smith.
Yes. I want to see how that matchup goes because they talk about Trey Smith like he a dog.
He is, but that's the matchup you want to see because if Jalen Carter can get the best of Trey Smith, then that means Caliendo
is in trouble.
Is stuck with Milt Williams and Ojomo.
You can't. Yeah, there's no reprieve.
Not much of a drop off. Not much of a drop off. And if Tooney at left tackle has to come over to help Caliendo, then that means you're losing something somewhere else. Then what do you have to do after that?
And if Taylor. Is it Jamar Taylor on right tackle? Is that his name? Yeah. If he has to come over and help our guy at right guard, Nolan Smith. See, there's too many questions the Chiefs have to answer on both sides of the ball. There's too many questions in my opinion. But to your point, well, not to your point. If you want, you can bring up that RG3 tweet whenever you're ready.
Got you. Look at what happened, just like I was saying, if they bring the blitz and Saquon has to stay in and block, that means Saquon is not in the pass patterns. Well, what happens if Caliendo and Tooney are getting wrecked? That means you got to leave a tight end. That means so what that means is they're going to bring in two tights. If you bring in two tights, that means you got Kelsey, Noah Gray. Who's your third? You got Worthy,
Hopkins.
Somebody's got to come off the field.
And the person I think that comes off may be
Hollywood Brown.
It's either going to be Hollywood Brown or Hopkins. Hopkins actually hasn't been on the field as much as people think. He's only been on the field about 40% of the snaps, 45% of the snaps. So that's going to be the interesting chess match, right? Are you going to just go pure burners with Brown and Xavier Worthy, or are you going to mix it up with Worthy, because Worthy's not coming up field? No. Are you going to mix it with Worthy and Hopkins, Worthy and Juju Smith-Schuster? That's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah, but watch what they do. They're going to line up. They're going to run that tight bunch setup, right? Or they're going to run. They'll be in a twins formation, and Worthy's going to go in motion one side or the other, and they'll end up in trips. They love trips formation.
Yes.
They love trips formation. And when they go that tight trips, they got that little triangle tight to the line of scrimmage. Watch what Kelsey does. Kelsey's either going to motion outside, or he's going to start outside and motion to the inside. And when he does that, that means they're trying to put Kelsey either on a rub route, where he's basically the blocker and the interference, or they're trying to position him so he has to be guarded by Oren Burke. That's how they're going to try to play it.
So, yeah, this is what RG3 had to say. He said, if Jalen Hurts and the Eagles win the Super Bowl, he won't be in the same category of Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. He will be a category above them, and the one that matters. Super Bowl champ. With all due respect to anyone who thinks differently, F out of here with the hate.
I'm with that.
You can't be on ESPN talking like this about Jalen Hurts. You can't disrespect, their great white hope and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, and you can't disrespect the likes of Lamar Jackson. Well, they do take their shots at Lamar Jackson, but you get my point. You get my point. You can't disrespect the four horsemen.
Man, like I said earlier, bro, how many passing yards is on the couch right now?
A lot.
So y'all take what y'all want, and then it'll be an anecdote. It'll be an anecdote. Like we said, if we come out with this dub, it'll be a whole bunch of excuses why we did it, how we did it. Well, if this would have happened, and it's like, whatever. They're gonna play the game. We gonna win the matchups, and we gonna win this game, and that's the way it's gonna go. Afrado says, I got us 55-35. Afrado, I like the way you think, brother. Appreciate the $2 super chat.
Thank you for the super chat, fam.
My guy is Blunt. We here. Thank both of y'all for the pregame shows. Coach, thank you for your live streams during the game. And Tone, thank you for your post-game authenticity.
Gotta be authentic.
They're gonna hate hearing from us this offseason.
Gotta be authentic, baby. Gotta be me. Shout out to S Blunt, man. S Blunt been rocking with me since draft, man, since offseason. Shout out to S Blunt, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We got a tight squad, bro. That's always growing. Always growing.
Definitely.
But yeah, man, I think when it's all said and done, you want to look at position to position.
Mm-hmm.
And if everybody does what they're supposed to do, because you got to remember the same thing we're saying, they're saying. I had my guy Jason Dunn on. Jason played 4 years with the Eagles and 8 years with the Chiefs. So
right. I remember that.
He's a Chiefs fan, and he'll tell you, I got love for the Eagles, but I was 8 years with the Chiefs, and I understand.
I get it. Yeah.
So I was listening to his podcast. Tone, they saying the same exact things that we saying. We got to win this battle. We got to win that battle. We got to establish line of scrimmage. Mahomes has got to be good. He can't turn the ball over. The formula doesn't change. What it comes down to is which team executes it the best. Yeah. That's it. Win the line of scrimmage. Don't turn the ball over. Ain't that what I've been saying for the past 8 weeks?
Yeah. And the thing is, though, this team, lack of execution has not been a part of their vocabulary this season. And I can understand. I mean, those first 4 weeks, they were figuring out new coordinators, new personnel. You're trying to figure out where the pieces flow, right? And you even had a taste of what this defense could look like against New Orleans in week 3 when they were at their hottest.
Yeah.
So you had a taste there. You knew what it could be, but then you figured it out after the bye week and it took off from there. But again, like, I just look at this defense, I say to myself, they're nowhere near as undisciplined as that 2022 squad. And they're and on top of that, they're way better coached. I expect Fangio to make an adjustment. Jonathan Gannon didn't make a single adjustment in that game defensively. He just ran his plays and thought the personnel would just make a play. You got to do something to put him in a better position. And another thing I want to bring up, me personally, I believe most teams lose to the Chiefs before the game even starts. And I say that because not just the Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes has a mystique that I think neutralizes people at times. We've seen it happen to the likes of opposing quarterbacks. They feel this need to want to prove something.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what happened with the Ravens. Well, the Ravens didn't play them, but I feel like that's what happened with Josh Allen and the Bills. Instead of just doing what got them there, they came out with the pass a little too. When they started running the ball, the Chiefs couldn't mess with them.
It was gutting them.
But they waited too long to get going, and at that point now you're playing catch up. You're trying to keep up with them, and it just didn't really work out for them.
Right.
But again, bringing it back to the Eagles, most of the players on this team, they played these same Chiefs in 2022. A lot of these guys been here in 2022 and lost to them and saw what that score looked like. 38-35. We could beat these dudes. We could run with these guys. And when you know that in your mind and you get past the mystique, which I think this team has, you got too many guys on this defense that's calm, cool, collected, and play with confidence, right? GJ plays with confidence. You know he fears no man. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, they've had to deal with Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. They've had to deal with players that got mystique. You feel me?
Right.
So I just feel like because of the way they're coached, because of the personality traits of this team on defense and where they fit at talent-wise, I just feel like this defense, the mystique won't even affect them.
No.
I firmly believe the whole because I feel like that's really a part of the Mahomes lore, the mystique he carries. People just think, oh, Mahomes can do everything. You don't give him the ball in this situation, he's going to get it. It's automatic, right? I think they're past that mystique. They've accomplished so much. They've been so good so long, and it was so good for them to come into this game winning that game 55-23. Their confidence is at an all-time high.
Absolutely.
So I don't believe that this defense is going to suffer from the whole paralysis by Patrick Mahomes. I don't believe that.
I think we'll have an opportunity to get hands on them. I'm looking at Dominique's. Again, thank you for the super chat, Dominique. But good point. Philly 500 said Jalen plays each game like it's the playoffs. I agree. Do y'all? Absolutely. Always about winning, never the numbers, and that's the key. And let me be honest with you. I don't think Mahomes is like that either. But people get caught up with Mahomes, rightfully so, because of what he has done, because the throws he has made, all of this playground stuff that he does, and he makes it work. That's why he's so dangerous. But at the end of the day, the matchups, he can't throw the ball if he on his back. Period. So I saw, watching the tape, I saw a couple of situations where Buffalo got close, but they couldn't seal the deal. I saw a couple of situations where they kept Travis Kelce in because he had to get a block, and that defensive end, Kelce got just enough on him where the defensive end couldn't get that hand on Mahomes. I'm thinking Nolan Smith makes that tackle because he's faster, he's longer, and he's a little bit more wiry and can change directions a little bit better. So there's different things that we have that these other teams just don't. Not to mention, go back to what you just said, when they stopped running the ball, and they should not have done that. They shouldn't have done that. So it is what it is. We are in a much better situation than we were in last time. And like I said, the turf is not going to be an issue this week. And not for nothing, Brandon Graham is coming back, bro. BG is going to be hyped.
Yes.
So I don't really put too much on what one person can bring to a team, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of when you got a rotation coming in and you got to give somebody a blow, and now you got fresh legs coming in. Fresh legs. So I'm looking for Brandon Graham to be a force and to at least get a couple of hurries. I don't necessarily know if he's going to get home, but at least do something enough to get Patrick Mahomes off his spot. I believe he can do that. If he gets a strip sack or gets that sack, that's a bonus. That's gravy for me. Because I think we got enough of everybody else that he's going to have to worry about. So I'm expecting Kansas City to try to get rid of the ball quick today. Very quick. Because he don't want to stand back there with the ball too long. But they're going to test that, see what that four-man rush going to do. So that's going to be the first quarter is going to tell us a lot.
It is. It is. Speaking of that first quarter.
Thank you, Dominique.
What's the first where are your eyes going to be drawn to first in that first quarter? On the Eagles offensively and the Eagles defensively? Where are your eyes going to be drawn to first? For me, offensively for the Eagles, I'm going to be paying attention to interior offensive line, how they're dealing with Chris Jones off the bat, right? I'm going to be paying close attention to that. Defensively, I'm going to be paying close attention to Oren Burks. What are you going to be paying close attention to on both sides of the ball for the Eagles in that first quarter initially?
When the Eagles are on offense, I'm looking at two things. Where is Chris Jones? And are we getting a hat on Bolton? I haven't really talked much about Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton is a little bit undersized, so we can use that to our advantage.
Yeah, he's athletic, but he's undersized. And I think that's where Mekhi Becton and Landon Dickerson can get interesting.
Right. So watching the film on Buffalo, watching the film on the Texans struggled a little bit getting hands on Bolton because Bolton, he's shiftier than you think he would be. He can make himself skinny and get through the hole, or he can beat an offensive lineman, even though he's going to lose the battle of physics. If you beat that guy to the spot, you done disrupted the play. The running back got to go in a different direction. So can we get a hat on Bolton and keep moving forward? I'm looking at the get off today. On the snap of the ball, is the line of scrimmage moving forward or is the line of scrimmage moving back? That's what I want to see. If it's a pass play, what you want to see is the line of scrimmage is going to take one step back and then stop. And then what it does is it's like this. And as the play goes on, it goes like this because you got the edges and the tackle's got to drop back a little bit deeper because the edges or the defensive ends are usually way outside. So they got to compensate. Right. So the pocket starts out flat and then it bows up. But if we can keep that line of scrimmage from everybody getting forward and Jalen can just step in that pocket and deliver the throws, we'll be good. But that's no different than any other game we would play, Super Bowl or not. That's a prerequisite. You got to the offense has got to hold that line and give your quarterback time to throw the ball. Jalen, you got 3 seconds. Anything after 3 seconds is your fault. Period. I'm hoping today, anything after 3 seconds, Jalen is gone. Get out of there. Because if people weren't paying attention enough, y'all fell for the banana in the tailpipe thinking his knee was hurt. And look what he did to Washington. And they had a touchdown call back. So Jalen Hurts is the situation where he could burn you. Just like we worried about Patrick Mahomes, they worried about Jalen Hurts. So it wouldn't look for what's the third linebacker? Chenal.
Yeah.
What they like to do is, because they did this against Buffalo, trying to make sure that Josh Allen didn't run too much on him. They will bring Chenal up and put him on the line of scrimmage. They will make some extra space between that defensive tackle and that defensive end. That defensive end will go extra wide. Chenal will come up and be right there in the middle. And that'll give him 8 men in the box. So we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be gambling.
I was watching Baldy break this down, and
my guy Baldy.
I love Baldy, man. And he was talking about this matchup, and he called it from the beginning. But when the playoffs first started, he said, "Listen, I got the Eagles going 4-0. I mean, they're just the better teams all throughout this playoffs." And a lot of the times we get wrapped up in this and that, we can overthink it. When you just really think about it, I don't see a team beating them. And so far he's right. 3-0, one more game left. And even when he talked about this matchup, he said, "Look, I understand Mahomes, Andy Reid. I gotta get all that right, but I don't think this Chiefs team is going to be able to stop the run." He said that flat out. He said one thing that stood out to me is their inability to set the edge consistently.
Yeah,
and that goes to your point about running off tackle.
So I looked this up. What's the best way to attack 8 men in the box? Right. What you do is, where is that 8th man? Because if you're looking at a 4-3 or a 5-2 or however they got their line of scrimmage, and it depends on who's coming up, who's dropping out, different things like that. But if you want 7 or 8 men in the box, the 8th man is usually going to be that extra linebacker or that extra safety coming up. So what you got to do is you got to split the line of scrimmage in half, from your center going left or from your center going right. Now, when they bring 8 men in the box, it's not even, because you're gonna have a tight end on one side or the other, or depending on what our set is. Do you got 2 receivers on the left? You got 2 tight ends on the left? Is everybody overloaded to the right? What's our offensive set? And that will determine how the alignment is, even if you have 8 men in the box. And it still comes down to this. If you count the center to the left and the running back or the tight end, whoever's on the line of scrimmage, do we outnumber the people that are out there? That's how you do it. Sometimes you can run, I don't know if you saw my tweet where me and Seth kind of went back and forth, where Seth was talking about you don't run condensed sets with 8 men in the box.
Right. It's making the job easy. It's making the job easy for him.
Correct. However, if when you run into condensed sets, everybody gets bunched up. And
which means they can get caught up in traffic a lot.
And what does Saquon do the best?
He leads them inside and bounces right out.
Exactly. So it can come into play. The other part of that is if you have a bunch set, and they do have 8 men in the box.
That's actually how they got Washington on that breakaway touchdown in the first.
Exactly. That's precisely my point. And then you look at the passing game. If there's 8 men in the box, how many does that leave in the secondary?
4. I mean, 3. Excuse me, 3.
So you got a single high. That safety's got to be floating deep somewhere.
And he can't miss.
He can't miss. So what do? You force that safety to make a decision.
And that's the gamble right there for Spags.
That's the gamble. The part about that is if they bring in 8 men in the box, usually it's a run blitz or a blitz, which means Jalen's not going to have a lot of time to throw the ball. So you got to get the ball out of your hands quick. So now you got to look at your routes. Is it a double move? Is he going to float it? You got 3 seconds or less in that situation. But if you win big, because that's when one of them splash plays can happen. And what happens if you bring 8 men in the box, just like Washington, and Saquon gets to the second level? Now you got your safety who likes to make business decisions. Now we got to make decision against the running back the size of a linebacker. So it's a gamble. So they can do that if you want to, but what it comes down to, you cut the defense in half, and then you look at which side do you outnumber? Because if they bringing up an extra safety or a cornerback, or if they're in nickel or whatever the situation is, then what that means is you got some cornerbacks out there, and if the linemen are pulling, now you got big on little. So now you win the battle of physics.
And they're athletic, man. They're athletic. See, the thing is, a lot of people talk about this all Eagles offensive line, how big they are, how unique they are. I was on the phone with my homie yesterday. My man Kyrie. Shout out to him. We was just talking about the uniqueness of this Eagles interior. Yes, Cam Jurgens is undersized, right? But he's super athletic. He's a Kelsey type, right? Strong as hell, strong hands, athletic. Not the biggest body, but he's athletic. But then you insulate him with the twin towers of Mekhi Becton at right guard, Landon Dickerson at left guard. And in my opinion, the unicorns on the offensive line are Mailata and Becton. I think those two are the unicorns.
Yeah.
Because what Mailata has done at the left tackle position is almost
with no experience.
With no experience. Almost unheard of. His physical gifts, the size, the athleticism, the power, that rare combination of all those traits is with the height, it's very rare. The length. Then Mekhi Becton, you wouldn't think a guy like that should be able to get low like that.
Right.
But he's been so well coached. And again, he hasn't been the best right guard in football, but he's become, with this offensive line, he's become a right guard that you can start.
Absolutely. Stalin knows what he's doing.
The rare physical gifts he has, the length, the power, the athleticism, the ferociousness, the grittiness. There's they nasty in there. Yeah. They nasty. And I really think it's going to be a unique proposition for the Chiefs to continuously beat them again. I don't doubt Chris Jones. Chris Jones is going to get his somewhere, somehow.
Jones going to get his.
Somehow. But can you, I guess this is the question. What's your course of action in neutralizing Chris Jones? My mindset is get him running sideline to sideline. Slow down that pass rush.
Yeah.
Make him think a little bit.
As much as I hate to say it, this is the perfect scenario for running from gun formation. Because if you're running from gun formation, he has to chase.
You hate that. You hate
I hate
that.
it. I hate
the
it.
pain in your voice.
Ugh.
He said, as much as I hate
As much as I hate it. But what that's going to do is, and it's only going to work as if the reason why I'm good with it, because for it to work, he's going to chase you down the line of scrimmage and you got to get outside. So you making him chase. And if we can get Saquon outside from gun formation, at the end of the day, you making him chase. That's what you want. You wear them big boys out. Then the same way we used to do with Micah Parsons. What's the best way to defend Micah Parsons? Run at him. Right? So now that puts the onus. Again, let's go to the first quarter. We're going to see what we can do. That's going to put the onus on Mailata and Dickerson. Dickerson, are you 100%? Is your knee good? Well, we're going to find out today. Because let me see how you can handle Chris Jones, because he's going to be right in your face. So we're going to see that early. A good example is look at how bad a job we did against Tampa Bay when Vea was in the middle. Vea was killing us. Vea was killing Cam Jurgens. So you got to look at that situation and either run away from it or run at it, where you got to, you set up a trap where somebody's got them and somebody's pulling it, you can double team them. But again, for the same reason that we've been saying, if the minute you double team somebody, that means somebody else got to eat. So it all, I agree with you. I think they're going to move Chris Jones up and down the line of scrimmage. And they're going to find a spot to leave him. And they're going to try to find wherever that weak spot is. We're going to be doing the same thing with Caliendo. Because Caliendo has been a turnstile.
Has he ever? He
has not been good. And Joe Tooney is a borderline Hall of Fame player at tackle.
You mean at guard?
At guard. Not necessarily a tackle. But I look at it like this. This is a perfect example. Look at what Landon Dickerson did against LA. Right? He moved to center. He was decent enough.
What do you mean Washington?
Was that Washington? Yeah. So he moved to center and he was decent enough, but he let up some sacks to Louvu.
Yeah, here's the problem. Here's the context of that though. He was hurt. I was watching my man JT O'Sullivan in the quarterback school, and he was ripping Dickerson in the first half. He was, when he was breaking down the film, he was ripping him because there was some situations where Dickerson, it was almost like he couldn't decide which gap he wanted to.
Exactly.
And he kept doing this.
But that's the point. That's the point. That only happens is if you. I know he played 2 years there at what was it, Bama.
But that's not his natural position on this level. And on top of that, he had a bad knee, so he can't really move. And on top of that, he doesn't have the technique to compensate. It's because it's not his natural position.
Yeah, that's my point. When you move to a different position, you're not locked in as if you were at your natural position. Yes, you can do it, and the longer you do it, the stuff starts coming back at you.
Of course.
But when you make those mistakes, you just hope that you don't make those mistakes at the worst possible time. Because he gave up that sack to Louvu. He looked right when he should have looked left. And then Louvu came through. Or Jared Verse came through. So it was a couple situations where I think it was just he wasn't used to being there. So he was playing catch up. He eventually got there. And then, of course, he gets hurt and then Jurgens is back in. And then Tyler Steen, you didn't hear his name called. And if you never hear an offensive lineman's name called, that means he's doing his job. So when you get people out of position, they are not as good as their normal spot. Tooney has been giving up a lot of hurries. Caliendo's been giving up a lot of sacks, and they both on the same side.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I liken that very similar to the situation that happened with the Vikings with, I believe his name is Kennesaw. They started left tackle. When he went down, they was never the same.
And he's been sacked. He's been sacked. Again, Mahomes been sacked the most. He's been sacked, all year long, man. All year long. And, I kind of been having this approach, throughout the season. I think I've said this to you many times. Look, big guys beat up on little guys. And when you dominate your box, when you do your job, a lot can be solved just with that. Right. This entire matchup is the Chiefs' success. Let's be honest. As smart as Spags is, the Chiefs' success is really hinging on Mahomes being magical today. Being magical, being superhuman like he's used to being. But if other guys aren't doing their jobs, he's putting a lot of trust in. Listen, he's putting a lot of trust in some new guys, man. Xavier Worthy, can you elevate? DeAndre Hopkins, you talented, but you're not the guy you used to be. And on top of that, you ain't been in this game before. You know what I'm saying? Hollywood Brown, you ain't been in this game before. You know, it's just one of those situations where I'm looking at the Chiefs and I'm like, look, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Steve Spags, all right, cool, got it. But I trust my team more.
Absolutely.
Top to bottom, I want to look at the Eagles and I say, we're better. We're better.
And
Nick
not for nothing,
Sirianni has not gotten in the way.
Kansas City made some mistakes against Buffalo. Buffalo just didn't capitalize. Kansas City should not have scored that touchdown on that catch to Xavier Worthy. That should have been incomplete, but they didn't call it. It shouldn't have been a close call because that should have been a pick.
Yeah.
If the safety takes that ball like he should have, and that goes back to taking advantage of the opportunities when you get it.
That was not a
they
catch.
don't get an
Crazy.
opportunity
That
to
was
score.
not a catch.
You eliminate that opportunity. And that's what the Eagles have to do. Every time our defense gets our hands on the ball, you got to come down with the ball, period. Because the last thing you want to do is give Patrick Mahomes another chance. That's what we cannot do. So, Alex, this one's been sitting for a minute. Appreciate the super chat. Sup, Tony, Coach. Been a hell of a year. Absolutely. Eagles winning 31-17. I'm very close to that as well. So I appreciate that. Alex, I think we forgot Ross and Found with the $2 super chat. Go Birds. That's simple enough. Plain, simple, and to the point. I appreciate it. William Johnson, great point on analysis, fellas. We absolutely have to win this game to shut up arrogant people like Nick Wright, a.k.a. Nick Wrong. He is also the twin brother of Dracula from Hotel Transylvania. Boy, y'all wildin'.
Yo,
I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
They all clickbait, man.
Hey,
let me say this about like
go ahead.
Show, right? What is the one thing that'll generate a response faster than anything else? And that is for someone, everybody wants to jump up to tell you you are wrong.
Yeah.
That traffic will go faster than anything else.
Yeah.
So that's why Nick Wright will continue to do what he does, and a lot of these other people. That's why you got so much flip-flopping, because the minute they flip-flop, everybody's coming for him. Chris Canty did his flip-flop, even though I don't think he meant to do that. But do you know how much traffic that show got in the morning with him, Smallman, and what's the other guy? But Unsportsmanlike. I like that show too. And I love Chris Canty. But do you know how much traffic he got for flip-flopping like that? Everybody wants to tell you you're wrong.
And it was also a combination of his producer saying, "Yeah, you're a fucking liar."
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Let me ask you a question, right?
Thanks, William.
Let me ask you a question. Thank you, William. We appreciate it. Let me ask you a question, Marcus. I want to play ball with somebody that's in our live chat. I want to play ball a little bit. Let me ask you a question. What do you say to the onlookers who say, you guys are overcomplicating this thing? You know, this is simple math. We're better than them. Simple as that. Well, the word is we were better than them in 2022. That's what they said prior to the game. We were better than them in 2022. So again, what do you say to those who claim or feel like we're overanalyzing this matchup, the Super Bowl matchup, a Super Bowl against the Eagles and Chiefs, two of the most prominent franchises in football? What do you say to those who feel like we're overanalyzing some of these unique intricacies of the game of football, Marcus? What do you say to those people?
Nothing. If anything, I would say you're right, because that's what you're supposed to do, because this is for all the marbles. What else we got to do? This is for everything. So you do overanalyze it. Mm-hmm. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're talking to me personally, I'm watching film. So I'm going by the matchup that I see week in, week out, week in, week out. And let me ask you this. Let's flip the tables real quick. Mm-hmm. What would happen if Kansas City had the number one defense? What would everybody be saying? This is not even close. This ain't going to be a contest. And if you really want to look at it, if you look at the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts numbers are very close. Mm-hmm. Very close. The only reason that Jalen Hurts has more passing yards is because we played an extra game.
Extra game. That's it.
But if you look at the passer rating, the percentage, completion percentage, touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, all of that is very similar. So, and here's where everybody gets that selective memory, right? All they want to remember is the games that Jalen Hurts wasn't great. Fair enough. But all I want to look at is what have we done the last 8 weeks? What have we done the last 4 weeks? What have we done in the playoffs? Isn't that all that matters? So whatever happened in regular season, it doesn't matter. What would have happened if Saquon rushes for 2,000 regular season yards and we get bounced first round of the playoffs? Wouldn't nobody give a damn? But every game in the playoffs, Saquon has showed up. Every game in the playoffs, Jalen has showed up. AJ has showed up. Goddard has showed up.
Yeah, in one way or another, all those guys have shown up.
One way or another.
Whether you like how it, whether you appreciate how it looked or not, they showed up. They put numbers on the board. They produced. They were productive. They were an asset, not a liability.
What's the problem?
A lot of people want to crucify Jalen Hurts for his performances in the wild card round, the divisional round, things of that nature. My thing is, he didn't turn the ball over, and he put points on the board. You see, I look at this very simply, right? I always say money looks better coming in than going out. And whether you like how it looked or not, Jalen Hurts just put money in the bank week after week after week after week. Hey, maybe he not putting 1,000 in. Maybe he putting in 500 that week. Hey, maybe he ain't put in 500 that week. Maybe he put in 750. Maybe he ain't put in 750. Maybe he only put in 250 or 300. He's still putting money in the bank.
Still put money in the bank, bro.
He not wasting the money on dumb purchases, a la turnovers. You get what I'm saying? He's putting money in the bank.
Kansas City be getting their plays from Temu.
It's just like it's so funny. It's just so funny how, like, look, this is the only game we have left.
This is it.
And you want to make sure you don't leave any stone unturned. This team, they're overanalyzing, and they're making sure they cross their T's and dot their I's. Why should
they doing the same thing, bro?
Why shouldn't we?
They doing the same thing.
And also it's a combination of, we want to make sure we give you guys a pretty good product here. We don't want to just go on these fan tirades, right? We also want to break down some things and talk a little bit more in depth about who this team has been. And we want to, and also the goal is to get you guys to understand that you should be more confident than maybe you already are, because the details is what the Philadelphia Eagles have been masters at, the details. So it's important for us to be masters of their details as well.
Absolutely, man. And listen, we both doing the same things. What people tend to do is they want to look at Patrick Mahomes' best, but only look at Jalen Hurts' worst. And then they want to compare the two. And it's like, if you look at that Buffalo game, Patrick Mahomes didn't have the best game in the world. So he's had some struggles. And don't forget that. He should have had a couple of picks in those games, but the other team just didn't come up with the play. It wasn't necessarily for what he did. He did make plays, but so did those other defenses. They just couldn't come away with the dub when they had to do it. We haven't been like that this year. When it comes down to making a play, we've been able to make the play.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you another question. I just saw a comment that was interesting from our friend Jonathan Hart here. He says here, Hurts is just a passenger. Help me understand this, Marcus. How far can you really go with a quarterback that's a liability? No matter how much talent you put all the talent around him, you put the pieces around him, doesn't it get to a point where that person would just be exposed? Like, if someone's mediocre or if someone's a liability, right? At some point, it has to show up. At some point, they get exposed, and that just hasn't been the case. You may not like his play style or who he is, or obviously you're the opposing team, your opposing fan base, whatever it is. So I only can take it with a grain of salt. But that's kind of been a narrative just in general, right? It's not even about what this person posted here, Mr. Hart here. It's more so about the national narrative that he's been carried by this Eagles team. And my whole mindset is, you can't carry your brother 4 years to 4 playoff berths and 2 Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowl opportunities. You can't carry a guy to that. Even if he has to do his job.
Even if you're the worst Hurts hater, you can't. You're not going to sit here and convince me that he just lucked up and got to the Super Bowl twice. Because here's what they'll say: he got lucky in that first one. So what's this one? You can't say it's luck again. And I
Well,
look at it like
well,
this.
now they're
You
saying
talking
it's
about-
now they're saying it's Saquon.
Exactly. So I don't ask Trent Dilfer about that. His ring still shine the same. No, he was not the best quarterback, but he was good enough to win the Super Bowl. Because guess what?
Mhm.
Even with that defense, if he was turning the ball over, and didn't they have Jamal Lewis that year? Didn't they have a good
Jamal
running back,
Lewis
a
was
2,000-yard rusher that
Jamal
year?
Lewis, early 2000s, was that man.
Exactly. So what he did was what he had to do. Turn around, hand off the ball, and defense, you take over. And the defense was that good. We are in the same boat, except we got a better quarterback, a better running back, and better wide receivers than that Ravens team had. Stop playing. Wasn't Torrey Smith there? Jamal Lewis, Trent Dilfer, and I can't even think of who the other wide receiver was. But they didn't have explosive names. They didn't have names that you had. Wasn't nobody really trying to game plan Torrey Smith? He was good, but they wasn't game planning him like they would AJ Brown or Devontae Smith or anybody else in the league as a number one. So I'm looking at it from that point. And to your point about someone being exposed, you can only expose somebody if the situation is right. You can only expose somebody if the situation is right. If you in a car and you got a hoopty and that car only goes 45 miles an hour, but to get to work, you on the roads that only need you to go to 35, what's the problem?
Right. I ain't racing.
What's the problem? Now, if they try to get on the highway and everybody going 65, you might have a problem.
Mhm.
So here's a perfect example. At the end of that Super Bowl, when Jalen had to throw the Hail Mary and he couldn't even get the ball to the end zone because he was too far back.
Yeah, and he slipped, I think, too, on that.
So what did that expose? Jalen Hurts doesn't have the strongest arm in the NFL. Josh Allen probably could have thrown that ball.
Probably to the 10 to the 20, maybe.
Yeah, Richardson probably could have threw that ball longer or something like that. So in that situation, Jalen Hurts' arm strength kind of got exposed, but he didn't need it. He can throw the ball 30 to 40 yards to let AJ Brown run underneath it. That's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
So being exposed, that's the wrong word. If you got to be in the right situation to be exposed. And if all you got to do is throw the ball 5 to 10 yards to AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, if that's all you got to do, we don't ever need to throw the ball 20 and 30 yards down the field. Never.
Right. And the thing is, though, those crazy deep shots you're talking about, throwing the ball 50, 60 yards down the field, teams only really attempt those if once, maybe twice a game. Those aren't like routine throws.
Exactly.
I would much rather have a guy who makes the routine throws rather than, who just constantly throwing bombs all day.
Right.
I can't live off that.
Look at the LA game. And when you watch the broadcast and you listen to the color commentary, they go on and on and on about how Matthew Stafford can throw the ball on a dime, throwing guys open, putting the ball where only his guy can get it, and all of that stuff. Valid praise.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford is a hell of a quarterback.
Right.
But what happened at the end of the game? He got. Our defense was better than their offense.
So
Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. You can argue that.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about throwing the ball down the field and passing it and distributing the ball, okay, that's a valid. We can argue about that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, did my guy make the plays to win the game? Answer: yes. Did he give up a safety? Yes. Did he made some bad mistakes, but he still put the ball where it had to be, and he made the play when he had to make the play. Period. And Matthew Stafford is one of those thousands of yards sitting on the couch watching us today.
I love it, man. I love it. And this is going to be a fun game today. I'm excited for it. I've been talking crazy leading up to this game, man. I've been making it very clear that I don't believe the Chiefs are scoring more than 24 points in this game. I'm standing by that. I'm standing on that. I am standing on that. But I guess before we get out of here, let me see if we got any more super chats left. We definitely got a few left.
Yeah, we do. Scotty the man was Chief D is horrible against play action. I agree 100%, Scotty. Appreciate the $1.99 super
Thank you,
chat.
Scotty.
Eagle Stewart, my man, Eagle Stewart. We got to pray. Mahomes has the devil on his side. We need God on ours. Run, no punts, no field goals. Elliott, Keep the ball out of KC's hands. Go Eagles. I ain't mad at that. Get the ball to Saquon. Appreciate you, Eagle Stewart.
Shout out to Eagle Stewart, man. Appreciate you.
Bo 1990 with the 499 super chat. 4217. I like that. You either gonna pray or you gonna worry. You can't do both. Hurts.
Yeah.
Like that. Ooh,
I remember when he said
hard.
that. I remember when he said that. I remember when Saquon had asked him, "Hey, you fearless?" He
Here's
said,
another one. Let's let LFG.
My man, Philly Mike.
Yes, so Philly Mike.
My man, Philly Mike. Shout out to Philly Mike, man. Make sure you
What's
guys go
going
lock
on,
in with him,
dude?
man. He's one of the best out there doing it.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, Saquon asked Hurts, "You fearless?" He was like, "Yeah, I mean, you either gonna pray or you gonna work. You can't do both. Like,
Can't do both.
You can't do both." And then Saquon had a moment with Jalen Carter in that Saints game before it started. He was like, "Hey, yo, they scared of you. They scared of you." And in that game, Jalen Carter went off in that game. So Saquon has been like this great complimentary piece to this team, not just obviously on the field, but just the mentals, the just how calming he is, how supportive he is, how good of a teammate he is, how much of a pro he is. Right, when you have a guy that talented, that with that kind of personality, that type of cachet, man, it just makes it makes guys just want to do their jobs that much more, man.
Man, Jalen Carter arrived last year, but I think his signature moment is when he smacked the hell out of that damn.
Yo, they bring that. Yo, they've been playing that on TV for the past 2 weeks, bro.
Yo, that was crazy.
They've been playing that for the past 2 weeks.
William Johnson says Jalen had a throw to AJ that went 50 yards in the air. Looked at a highlight. Listen, Jalen Hurts can throw the ball.
Yeah, he's a great deep ball thrower.
He's a great deep ball thrower. He just I was bringing up that situation from the Super Bowl because he was way back there. Yeah, he didn't even get close.
He was like at the 30 or something like that.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But don't nobody need to throw the ball. The long ball is overrated, man. Just if Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown can hit quick slants all damn day, I'll be happy.
I'll be cool
because I know AJ is gonna break a tackle. So long ball is overrated, man. Jalen Hurts is gonna do what he needs to do, and it's gonna come down to as long as they try to stretch him outside. I'm gonna say the same thing. Let me get into it now, so I don't, be pissed off during the game. They got to get the ball outside.
Well, you know what? To your point, let's get to the keys of the game. Then. Let's get to the keys of the game. Then, right? We're going to begin to close the show out anyway. Let's just get to our keys of the game. Break down, or summarize rather. What we talked about today. What needs to happen if the Eagles win this game. What happened? What did they do? What did they do well on offense, and what did they do well on defense?
On offense. They got to put the kibosh on Chris Jones. That's what I think they got to do. They got to, and not like we said earlier, he gonna get his because he's Chris Jones. He's that good. But what you have to do is, you got to play him the way you're supposed to play him, and don't let him get off. Don't let him have a 3-sack game. He can't do to us what Jared Verse did. We can't let that happen.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So. Malata or wherever he plays on the line, we got to be ready for it wherever he is on the line of scrimmage. Or it might be a situation he might get the best of our tackle or our guard or whatever the situation is, but do we have the game plan or the play drawn up to run away from him, to trap him, to get him going in the wrong direction? There's ways you can scheme out of that. So if we can handle that situation and our offensive line can move forward, I think we'll be fine. And like I mentioned earlier, usually it's going to be Becton or Dickerson. Somebody's got to get a hat on Nick Bolton. Nick Bolton cannot run free. I already know that Chenal is going to come up for run support. And I don't know which safety they're going to use, but they're going to bring in a safety up to put 8 men in the box. So we already know that's coming. And how have we schemed it to get out of that situation? The one thing we haven't really talked about today, Jalen Hurts has done a masterful job at the line of scrimmage, changing the play, changing it back.
Yeah, get into it now. Yeah, break it down.
When Jalen Hurts gets at the line of scrimmage and you see him calling stuff out and you see him pull his chest or when you hear him say reload, that means he changed the play. The defense moved. Now he's going back to the original play. Reload. That means reload what we originally called. We running the same play. That's what he did when Saquon scored on that first play. He reloaded it, saw something, and it went 60. Jalen Hurts has been not getting enough credit for doing what he's doing. The only person I've seen really call that out is Dan Orlovsky. for him getting to the line of scrimmage and recognizing what he's seeing and making the adjustment.
But the reason he's not getting the credit for is because, you know, the result of the play may end up in Saquon's hands or whatever. People are caught up in the magic of the play, or people are caught up rather in, I'll put it this way. You go to a restaurant, right? You look at the menu, you order what you want. You care more about the way it comes out rather than how it's prepared.
Exactly. And I'm telling you now, pay attention. During the game, when we are on offense, watch how many times the safeties come up, because I think they're going to play with that a lot. And what they're trying to do is confuse the offensive line. If the safety comes up in a gap, now there's somebody head up on an offensive lineman, be it the tackle, the guard, whatever. So now that offensive lineman has to make the decision. Am I blocking somebody that's head up on me, or do I go left or right to my normal assignment? And then what happens if at the snap of the ball, the safety bails out and goes back into coverage? Now they're trying to trip the lineman up to call the wrong protection or something like that. That's the chess match they do. That is where Jalen Hurts has been really good, recognizing, changing the plays, changing the back, things of that nature. And that's what is going to come into play, because now you got Juergens back where he's supposed to be, and Robertson back where he's supposed to be.
And remember, in 2022, he wasn't calling the protections at the time. Because Kelsey was there.
Yeah.
So now you have a guy who's much more cerebral at the position. He's smarter. He has more control over the outcome. I expect Jalen to ball in this game, man. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
And I think Jalen's going to have a good day running the ball. Because if we going to RPO him to death, well, we should. Because if here's you run the RPO, right? Run is the first action, pass is the other. Don't forget, the O is the option. Jalen Hurts has to see the O. He's the O. So you see the run, you see the pass, you make the decision. And just like Washington did, if they crash that defensive end, trying to stop Saquon, because you have to respect him. Now we got everybody working together. Don't be surprised if Jalen Hurts pulls it and goes 20 or 30, like he did against Washington. Because if he does that, all of that stuff that they're talking about Spags is going to do, all of that stuff gets blown out of the water. Because now you got another running back that you got to take into consideration. And not for nothing, if you bring somebody extra, that means somebody's open or somebody's one-on-one on AJ or Devontae.
That's why it's so important to plant those seeds, right? That 40-yard run by Jalen Hurts for the touchdowns in the bank now, meaning that Spags has to account for it now. The quarterback draw touchdown run against the Commanders, it's in the bank. Like that, like when you plant those seeds, you get that stuff on tape. You give them another thing they got to account for now.
They got to worry about
it. It continues to stretch the defense, and the more things you give them to worry about, the higher the likelihood they are to make a mistake.
Right? They probably gonna spy them. They would be crazy not to. But if you spy them, that means if you spying on a quarterback,
one less person worrying about Saquon.
Well, no, but that means you taking somebody out of the pass protection. Out of pass defense. So if he looks like he's rolling out, and to whoever made that comment in the chat earlier about them not being good at play action, this is where play action can really kick their ass.
And when the Eagles have used it, they've been pretty good at it. When they've used it,
man, Kellen Moore is great at play action. We just wasn't using it a lot during the season. Or I shouldn't say that. They consider play action when they run that fake out of gun formation. That's why I hate it. It doesn't make the linebacker move.
Yeah.
But with Saquon in pistol or in ace formation coming downhill, the linebackers must move. And that's going to open up the zones deep. So again, regardless of what they do, there are some things that the defense has to do because that's the defense they're in. And it's all about Jalen Hurts recognizing what he sees and being ready for it.
I love it, man.
We're ready to go, man. So I know that was a long answer.
No. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was what was needed to be heard. So that's your keys on offense. What are your keys on defense?
Jalen Carter. Where's Jalen Carter lined up, and who's lined up on Caliendo? I'm watching Caliendo every play day on offense because he's the weak spot. So I'm watching him every play. How are they gonna Jalen Carter, Ojomo, Milt Williams. Somebody gonna eat today. Up the middle. Nolan Smith gonna still do his thing on the outside, but somebody gonna eat today up the middle because Caliendo ain't gonna get it done. He can't.
So there's a rumor out there that they were debating whether to swing Tooney back inside. I don't think they will.
Even if they so if they swing him back inside, who's outside now?
Exactly.
So you damned if you do, you damned if you don't.
Right.
Because I don't think Tooney is a borderline Hall of Fame guard, not so much at tackle. And I don't think Tooney can handle Nolan Smith's speed. That's the other thing we got to look at. So whatever they decide to do, you got a problem. But I think because Caliendo is a turnstile, but it's easy to run away from him. So, but am I thinking that Pacheco is going to be running outside a lot? I doubt it. He's not that fast and he's not that great of a runner. And then you got Kareem Hunt. Now, Kareem Hunt might be able to do some damage on the outside, but we got to see it first. We got to see it first because they're going to pitch outside, and it all depends. Watch that first quarter and watch Caliendo every play. He's the left guard. Number, is he 62 or 66?
I'm not entirely sure. Let me double check that real quick. I can give you that.
I want to say
you that answer.
Because I think Tooney is 66.
I can give you that answer in T-minus 10 seconds. Give me 1 second.
And by the way, Marcus Williams, thank you again for
Caliendo is number 66.
Okay, 66. Marcus Williams says all facts. QB1 checks the different plays to see what the defense's alignment scheme truly is post-snap. Yep, Hurts has been winning pre-snap all season. I wouldn't say all season, but he's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, he's gotten significantly better.
Last half of the season and definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, hey, listen, I want to show you something, man. Since we're talking about the Eagles' interior defense, right? Guys like Jalen Carter, even Milton Williams. I want you to pull up this video here that I'm uploading for us right here. Literally, Milton Williams' dad, man, is celebrating for his son.
I saw this.
Oh my God, please. Oh my God. Like it was, oh my God, just warms my heart, man. Let me bring this. Let me press play here.
Let's go hit the
Here.
quad, nigga. Hit the quad. Hit the quad. Yo, come on, man.
Yo, is that how your dad be getting when he watch the stream, bro?
Yo, my dad, man. My dad is like that's my road dog, man. He is locked in with me through and through.
You said what, right?
Through and through. My dad is locked in with me. He's like this.
Defense, Milton. Y'all play defense time. This ball back. Right.
Shout out to Milton Williams' dad, man.
I ain't mad at him.
Shout out to Milton Williams' dad, because that is so dope.
That's what your folks are supposed to do, man. That's what I remember back in the day when I was in college, man, and all my family would come had the number 40 jerseys in the maroon, the Eastern Kentucky jersey. Listen, man, I had a whole section of number 40s up there. I feel him, man. I'm with him. I'm hope he jumping and screaming like that today for sure.
Man, this is our time, man. It's our time. So okay, so we got our keys to the game out of the way. Any bold predictions? I kind of been planting the seed for mine for the past 2 weeks. My bold prediction is this Chiefs offense is not scoring more than 24 points. They're not scoring more than 24 points, and Saquon goes for 150.
I'll do you one better. I got the Eagles winning 30-17.
Oh, so that's your bold prediction mixed in with your score prediction.
Yeah. But I mean, my bold prediction was last week when I said CJ Gardner-Johnson's going to be MVP.
Okay. So CJ Gardner-Johnson gets Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah.
Eagles win by double digits for you. 30-17.
I don't. And for anybody that didn't see the show last week, I couldn't explain it. I couldn't rationalize it. There was no reasonable explanation for me to say that, especially me as an offensive player and the film I've been watching.
Yeah.
You can call me crazy. I have no explanation or reason why I said it. That's something that popped into my head and I went with it. And I was like, I don't know why I had to say it, but something told me to say it. So I spoke on it.
I like it. I'm
going to leave it at that. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be the MVP.
I like that. Yeah. So mine, Chiefs aren't scoring more than 24 points. Saquon's going for 150 plus, and we force another turnover on special teams, which leads to a question: I know we don't really get into it that much, but what's your thoughts on the special teams unit for both squads? The Chiefs, what they've lived on these past couple playoff games is that they had this guy named, I don't know if his name Rodrigo, Rodinicio, whatever he is on special teams. He's a kick returner and a punt returner. They've been getting really great field position on special teams. So again, I think one of my bold predictions is that we force a turnover. We force a turnover on special teams like we've been doing. That special teams, especially the kickoff return, has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on special teams in this game?
We got to be on point, man. Make the field goals, make the extra points. We can't leave anything on the table. We can't leave any reason or any gap in the armor. You know what I'm saying? We can't leave the air duct on the Death Star, bro. That's how you get got.
That's good. I like that. That's
you know
good.
What I'm saying? That's how you get got. We got to take care of business. Elliott, make the kicks, whether it's an extra point or a field goal. You inside. So there's no wind. It can't come off your foot funny because of the turf. None of that. So, and I will argue anybody. We lost that game in 22 because of that special team punt return in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, you basically gave him a touchdown.
We gave him a touchdown.
Two of them. You actually gave him 14 points. The fumble and the kick return.
But the reason why I don't say
the
fumble because Jalen Hurts made up for that still in the first half.
No. I hear you. I'm with you on that. I don't say that's the reason we lost, me personally. But it's still 14. It's still part of that 14-point gift.
You're 100% correct.
Right? It's a gift still. So, so there you guys have it. Coach Marcus, if you want to reiterate your bold predictions real quick and your score prediction, and then I'll give you guys my score prediction and I'll reiterate mine.
Eagles are going to win this game 30-17. 30-17. Let's get it done, man. I'll see you on Broad Street, bro.
I love it. And for me, Saquon goes for over 150. Eagles force a turnover on special teams. Chiefs don't score more than 24 points. Therefore, my score prediction for this game is Eagles 34, Chiefs 21. Eagles 34, Chiefs 21. I'm rolling with that.
That's it, man.
I'm rolling with that.
Rolling
with that, man. Markus,
it all comes down to this, bro.
It's been a hell of a run, has it not?
It's been a hell of a year, bro. From all the way from preseason to the Super Bowl. We are standing in the spot where all these other teams, all these other shit talkers, all that smack that they talk during the year about what we can't do, Jalen can't. We here, and you ain't. You watching us for the couch. I hope your wings are good.
Hope your Super Bowl party is going phenomenally.
Man. So watch us finish this. Watch us finish it.
Oh, yeah.
Let's hunt, baby.
It's up, baby. It's
Let's
up.
hunt.
Hey, Markus, man. Let's hunt. It's been a pleasure. Can't wait to chop it up with you throughout the off season, man. But before we even get that done, man, we getting this dub. You guys know what the vibes is. You guys have been tuned into your Eagles pregame show featuring Coach Markus from Pro Fan Talk. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to both channels. And I've been your humble host, Tone Deshields II from Chalk It Up Sports via the Chalk It Up Network, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Hey, Markus, play that song, man.
Go Birds.
In the city of Philly, where the birds take flight, Eagle swag on the rise each and every night. Tone and Markus got the scoop ready to ignite. From the lanes of South Street to the Broad Street lights. Dashing like a running back, hitting every play. Blind guys in the zone, never led astray. Talking touchdowns, talking game day. Huddle around the mic, hear what they gotta say. Fly like an eagle soaring in the sky. Tone and Markus